Hello, my name is Allison Leone, and today I'm going to be talking about how the state of Ohio can defend small businesses in the face of the COVID-19 coronavirus 2020 pandemic. My real goal or purpose of this proposal is to bring attention to the small business sector of the United States, and more specifically to Ohio. Before I completed this report and proposal, I was unaware of the significance of the small business population in regard to Ohio's economy. And so I think it's imperative for government officials to intervene and offer solutions to their financial problems during this pandemic. Actions required by Ohio government officials are definitely placing hardships upon small organizations. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine enacted the stay-at-home order that became effective on March 23, 2020. And the order explicitly limits face-to-face interaction between employees and customers of small businesses. Foot traffic absolutely makes up a huge component of the sales made by these smaller organizations, and a lot of times these businesses might not have alternative options of generating revenue, whether that be online shopping or the such, because they, most of the time, are not providing essential products. And we know that all non-essential businesses have been ordered to close at this time. So many owners have taken to social media to attract customers in some capacity, and customers are relying on word of mouth as well as social media communication to get the message out if they are still operating, even if it is under alternative conditions. So what classifies an establishment as a small business? So there's two categories. The first is their maximum number of employees, and this can range from 250 to 1,500 employees. And the second is maximum revenue. So small businesses can have a revenue of up to $750,000 to $38.5 million per year. As I touched on at the beginning of this presentation, small businesses are an essential component of both nation and state economies. In 2018, Ohio became home to 944,797 small businesses, and in today, small businesses are home to just about 950,000 businesses across the Buckeye State. To put this more in perspective, this makes up about 99.6% of all Ohio businesses, employing 2.2 million employees and approximately 46% of the entire Ohio workforce. So in this global crisis, distress is absolutely transported across Ohio. Dane Stangler of Forbes magazine, I used this source as one of my secondary sources in my report, wrote, "The COVID-19 crisis is showing that many American small businesses have cash flow issues and effectively live the equivalent of paycheck to paycheck." So sharp declines in consumer demand, which are absolutely happening in the small business sector, can easily tip these small establishments into hazardous financial scenarios. So to give an example, another secondary source I used was in Columbus, Ohio, and there was an owner of a food truck. His name was Zach James, and he told his audience basically he is taking about a $5,000 hit per week, give or take, depending on the time. And he is absolutely concerned about his bottom line on his income statement because that is going to determine if he's able to reopen or not in the future. And even more so, the crisis extends to our home of Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown is home to hundreds of locally owned businesses that are fighting to withstand the storm of the coronavirus. Primary research in the form of observation I was able to collect to sample the adjustment that local small businesses have made in the recent weeks. Some have been altering their hours of operation or laying off workers or even shutting down for an indefinite amount of time. So I looked to social media to collect some of my observations, and on Monday, March 16th, Gray Fashion Boutique, pictured on the left, announced that their women's clothing establishment would be closing their storefront effective immediately, and their owner, Amy, took to Instagram to illustrate that decision. Although their intention is, yes, to offer products through an online website, their net sales will be drawn in at a fraction of normal operation because that face-to-face interaction is crucial to small businesses. Of course, many women prefer to try on clothes and apparel in-store. Online might not always be the best solution. And similar to them is E.J. Hanna, which is located in Canfield, Ohio. They specialize in special occasion wear, homecoming, prom dresses, and the like. So their owner, Lindsay, also took to Instagram on Tuesday, March 17th to share their news of their in-store closure as well. So to combat these losses, additional government assistance must be implemented to stabilize small businesses. Immediate action by the state government must be taken. Governor Mike DeWine, along with the Ohio Senate, must propose to increase the available low-interest disaster loans available through the Ohio Small Business Administration. Income support and paid leave for employees would ensure security among both owners and employees, hopefully allowing them to reopen their doors when it is deemed appropriate. This is going to promote an increase in sales revenue, cover those previous unpaid expenses that they might not have been able to pay because of the lack of revenue, and it's also going to encourage productivity and innovation for future operations. So my message for this is really for the audience of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, Ohio Senators and House of Representatives, as well as the National Congress. So the first part of this government intervention are economic injury disaster loans. May 1st has become the date Ohio small businesses have circled on the calendar to resume operation in some capacity, but for many area firms, this is going to be impossible if financial help is not granted in the short term. The National Department of Health has declared the state of Ohio a qualifier for small business economic injury disaster loans. So small businesses affected by the coronavirus in Ohio are encouraged to promptly apply for these loans. You can earn up to $2 million to protect your business, and these loans have repayment terms of up to 30 years. So who is going to qualify for economic injury disaster loans? Firstly, your business must have less than 500 employees, and you must have an inability to pay bills due to the coronavirus. What will the loans cover? They're going to cover payroll costs of up to $100,000 per employee. They're going to cover employee benefits, including medical and sick leave, mortgage, interest, rent, and other utilities that could not have been paid for without these loans. And the second part of the government intervention is the Payment Protection Program. And so the national government is offering $250 billion for this program. And this is allowing banks to offer low-interest loans that can later be forgiven. The criteria for this, the small business has to have been in business before February 15th to qualify, and this is going to cover solely payroll costs, including salaries, commission, tips, and benefits that workers would have incurred had they been able to work appropriately. And so the big question that's raised is, what is going to happen if assistance is not offered soon enough? Naturally, profits will be lost. Because of the lack of foot traffic, consumer demand for non-essential small businesses, workers will have a lesser chance of becoming employed. So if you have an unemployed worker and businesses are forced to close because they cannot stay open, they're not going to be able to find a job. Owners might file for bankruptcy. Family income may be depleted if they're relying on the salaries and wages of small businesses. And lastly, and most importantly, there's going to be a loss of innovation and productivity in the small business sector. This is going to deter or refrain young entrepreneurs from establishing their own businesses, and as we know, this is going to significantly harm both nation and state economies. So this conclusion establishes Kairos. Action does need to be taken by small business owners immediately because in essence, every day they are losing profits. So the sooner they take advantage of these disaster loans, the quicker they can start rebuilding their organization and hopefully the quicker they can reopen in the near future. And I've attached my references, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.